Thank you and welcome, Dr. Hayden. We are pleased to have you here with us today to testify about our Library of Congress. With more than 178 million items in its collection, including millions of books, audio materials, manuscripts, and photographs, the Library of Congress is the largest library in the world. The library was established in 1800 to provide research materials and support for Congress, and continues today to be an invaluable resource in informing Congress and the legislative process, including serving as the home as the Congressional Research Service. Since its creation, the library has also evolved to become the home of the U.S. Copyright Office, as well as a national cultural institution welcoming nearly 2 million visitors a year. Dr. Hayden, I would like to return to a subject you touched on just a moment ago, which is the library's role in preserving and sharing data with the public. Would you describe for us further what is the library's role in preserving data and information and making it accessible to Americans?
The Library of Congress's role is to make its collections foremost available to the general public. The Library of Congress holds the papers of 23 presidents, 38 Supreme Court justices, notable organizations, and individuals, from Clara Barton to Rosa Parks. Number one, so making those unique collections accessible in as many ways possible as we can. Also, there are collections of books. You mentioned prints and photographs, other formats that are also unique in some instances, but definitely not available on local and state levels. And so as the National Library, our role is to provide all of those materials for Congress to do its work in many ways, and we have many requests for materials and collections, as well as the American public.
And you also touched on the concept of making some of those materials available for digital visits for those who cannot physically come to our nation's capital. Would you elaborate, please, on the types of things the Library of Congress has done to make collections and special exhibits available digitally for those who wish to see them?
At this point, the Library of Congress has digitized approximately, and our CIO is right behind me, so she might indicate something, but approximately 61 million items, and that includes every page of Teddy Roosevelt's diary. That includes the papers of those 23 presidents that we just put on, and the new exhibit that we just opened, the two Georges, where a lot of those documents are on exhibit now as part of our America 250 celebration. And so when you look at the fact that you could have Rosa Parks's peanut butter pancake recipe available online for anyone to look at and try to replicate, it's a wonderful opportunity for people to connect to the Library of Congress in a way that they couldn't. Our exhibits, of course, are in-person things, but we also have a digital component even for exhibits. So you can go online and look at past exhibits. One of my favorites, baseball. All of those exhibits, we have a digital component, and that's really the way that we can touch every American.
And as we've touched on already in the hearing, you're in the midst of a very large IT modernization project. One of the things that I would like to go back to related to the IT modernization, you mentioned that the copyright registration process you anticipated would specifically benefit substantially from the IT modernization. Tell us more, if you would, about how you anticipate that process being affected or any other major impacts of that IT modernization for the public.
When I started my 10 years Librarian of Congress, the modernization of the copyright system was one that was of great concern to a number of stakeholders, from individuals to groups. All wanted a more technologically advanced copyright registration system. So we have worked diligently to do things like change a process that was paper-based, recordation. It is now automated. And then the historic records that I mentioned that go back over 100 years, that was a card catalog, a physical card catalog of records. If you wanted to look at historic records, those have been digitized, and we're working on making sure that there's metadata that you can then search like another online catalog, but at least you could look by year at the records online. And the last part is that being able to register online. So we have developed and maintained a stakeholder group that is advising us, and there is a pilot on that registration now. And so far, the reviews have been good, and so that's really the future. Once we get online registration, that's it.